Good evening, all you good people of the internet. I hope everybody's doing well. Now, before I get into my story, I'd just like to welcome all of you to the first video on this channel. So, the theme of this video is going to be more so a personal one. I have different things in mind for this channel, such as talking about random crap that's going on in the world or locally, paying taxes on pre-owned vehicles, ICBC, and a little more. Once in a while I'll be making videos in regards to the mistakes I make and hope and effort to share these experiences with people so that they may be less likely to make similar mistakes in similar circumstances. Now, being a startup YouTuber, I won't be able to upload videos on a regular basis as I've got a job, I'll be heading to school in the coming year, and life in general, well, it's just busy. Right now this channel is mainly just a hobby of mine, and a way for me to practice my mobster accent because, well, it needs a little practice. Okay, down to business. I'll be talking about buying a car. Now, before you think I'm gonna go on a rant about dealers and scams, or you're thinking about closing the video, let me just say stick around. It might be beneficial. So, just recently I bought myself a newer car. Bought a 2008 Pontiac G6 4-cylinder, and traded in my previous and first car, a 2001 Volvo V70 Cross Country, 5-cylinder all-wheel drive turbo. I bought the Volvo privately back in April 2019 for just under $2,000. And you know, right off the bat the car had issues. The coolant temperature sensor indicator wasn't working, so I replaced both the sensor and the thermostat. I performed an oil change and replaced the cabin air filter, as it was still the original one from 2001 and it was damn filthy. I did my own brake change, replacing the e-brake shoes, brake pads, and rotors. And at one point I found out that the car had a fairly worrying oil leak. So I found where it was coming from, had to open up the transfer case, clean it all up, and replace the O-ring inside. While I was down there, you know, I also replaced the oil in that transfer case. I replaced the bulbs in the headlights and brake lights, and most recently I needed to do a major job with my front end, including replacing the ball joints, inner tie rods, and control arm bushings. You know, it was 3 days of dawn to dusk work and it was a bloody nightmare. I needed to do it myself though, because otherwise I would need to pay a shop $1,800. And I'd be damned if I was gonna dish out enough to buy myself that car a second time, let me tell you. Well, I know that this has become a bit of a rant, so I'll leave it here because there was plenty of other work done to that car. Hell, I even slapped a turbo inside sticker on the trunk because comedy. And you know, it wasn't a lie. You know, honestly, I loved that car. Long story short, I poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. In my opinion, enough to warrant what I was asking for. So, now that I provided you all with some context and backstory, let's move on to why I was selling the car I put so much love into. While the cargo space was definitely appreciated being an airsoft, the car was a bit of a boat and a gas guzzler. The onboard computer was telling me I was burning about 13.6 liters per 100 kilometers. And that's just what the average estimate was, who knows what it was actually like. Every week and a half or so I'd be putting anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks of gas into that car, and on top of that I was paying $301.50 a month for insurance. That's quite a lot. With all that adding up, I couldn't really save my money too well. Plus, as I said earlier, I'll be going to school very soon, so my lifestyle's gonna get flipped heads over heels. I know I could use public transit instead, but fuck, let's be honest, I'd much rather have the comfort of a car. Who wouldn't? Now, this is the part of the video where I want to do my best to explain my point, so stick with me. When I went into that dealership, it was with the mindset of being ready to walk away. I knew all the work I put into that Volvo, and I told myself I wasn't ready to give it all up just like that. But you know, here's the thing. That was also my first time doing business with a car dealership. And I let that smooth talking and snake-like charm get to me. And you know, it made me drop my guard. You see, I've come to realize I'm a very impressionable and passive person. I don't usually enjoy arguing, or needing to go on the defensive, but it's honestly something you need to be able to do if you want to get anywhere in life and hold your own. And for me, it wasn't just with things like car sales and the like. It screwed me over in past situations as well. Some also personal. You know, maybe I'll cover those things in later videos. Regardless, it's something I need to work on, you know. I gotta work on it. Here's the thing with most salespeople. You know, they might act warm and friendly, and they tell you that they care and they want to help you. But that's what it is. It's all just an act. The truth is, many of them are holding that knife behind their back ready to stick you with it the moment they can. And I like to think of it as the moment that handshake occurs. So, you know, I did what I felt like I could. I tried to bargain and haggle, finding one thing wrong with the Pontiac and another thing and a third thing. I explained to the dealer what I did with my car. Sure, the Volvo had a high reading on the Odo, but that engine was spotless, let me tell you. No rust, no grime. I took care of that car, and it was absolutely good to keep driving for a long time. I explained all the work I put into the car, but the dealers didn't want to hear any of it. They told me what they'd give me based on an online algorithm. They only cared about making money because, let's face it, it's what they do. Business, you know, money, that's it. Anyways, I let them get to me and I grew complacent, which ended up with me getting considerably less value for my car than I'd originally hoped for. And hell, after taxes and fees, the value of that Pontiac's list price was only knocked down by a few $100s. All that because I didn't catch myself and stand up for the work I put into my car. And you know what? I won't lie. I had a few opportunities to walk out. At one point I asked them about putting some gas in the tank as a courtesy, since, you know, the car was running on next to nothing. After all, if you're a car dealer, you'd want your customer to be able to drive off the lot without worrying about getting stranded on the road. I'd say that would be absolutely counterproductive and leave you, the dealer, with a nasty rep. You know, even on the test drive the warning light came on. But anyways, the head sales rep made a perversely snide remark to me and he said, and I quote, "We made a deal with gas stations. We don't sell gas and they don't sell cars." And fuck, right there I had the perfect opportunity to back out. You know, I should have stood up, looked him dead in the eyes and told him to drive that Pontiac right up his fucking ass. But I didn't. Should have steeled myself and remained patient with finding another car. You know, those things are everywhere. I should have kept cool and found a better deal elsewhere, and I would have still been driving my trusty Volvo around town, confident in that car and in my abilities. But I didn't. And now, you know, I'm kicking myself because of it. Any driver worth their skill should know that if their car is well taken care of, well maintained, well preserved, then it will drive for a long time regardless of make and model. When I bought that Volvo, it wasn't doing so well, but I whipped it back into shape. Now that I've taken a closer look at the Pontiac, I'm seeing issues with it that I'll need to take care of as well. There were no fuses where they should have been for the stereo, power mirrors, interior lights, and a few more important features. So of course I got that taken care of. But when I bought the car, they gave me only one key and no fob. The key I got was also just about ready to snap, and so I needed to go to a locksmith and dish out a fair bit to get a new one made. And of course I'll need to buy and program a new fob, and fuck, that ain't cheap. The sunroof is also loose and doesn't work. There's plenty of rust on the inside and outside of the car which I'll need to deal with come the spring. I'll also need to either fix or replace the tire pressure sensors. And there's also what seems to be evidence of an oil leak. But I haven't been able to get a good look under the car because of all the rain that's been pouring down as of late, you know? Welcome to Vancouver. So, bottom line is, I traded in my perfectly fine Volvo, still had to dish out a fair chunk of cash and bought myself a newer Pontiac. A car that also needs more of my time, care, attention, and money. Anyhow, the point I'm trying to make here is, if any one of you wonderful people out there ever find yourself in a situation like mine or similar, could be anything you might consider a major investment, be it finding a car, buying a home, or choosing the right, liquor store. Remember this, be patient. Don't rush into a big investment. Always take a step back, analyze the situation. Be ready to walk out because more often than not, especially with car dealers, they will follow you and try to strike a better deal with you. But you know, even then, sometimes you just need to say no. Because honestly, cars can be found anywhere. They're always being bought or sold. Now, keep your cool and find yourself an exchange that truly makes you feel satisfied. Even if it takes you more time to find, because otherwise it'll end up eating away at you. And trust me, it's definitely not worth it. Now, I'm not trying to make anybody feel sorry for me or play the sympathy card. What's done is done, and I've accepted that. I only want to relay all this information in the hopes that it can help and inspire, among others, young drivers like myself to not make these same mistakes. Maybe this video will even reach some dealerships or sales reps out there and make them think about how they're treating their customers. But, that's a long shot. If you want to laugh at me for making a fool of myself, then sure, go ahead. I earned it. But remember this, everyone has their own issues to deal with. Some people are impulsive, some people are awkward, some people just don't think like others do. And we all have problems we need to work on to better ourselves. Mistakes are part of life and of growing up, everybody makes them. This wasn't my first major blunder, and it definitely isn't my last. What's important is not clinging to and wallowing in them, but accepting them, learning from them, and using that knowledge to help you do better later on in life. Well, if you made it this far, then I'd like to thank you for your time and patience. If you like or agree with what I've stated, please leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see similar content in the future. I want to get this message out to people, so I would also greatly appreciate you sharing this video on social media or anywhere else that suits your fancy. Thank you again. Now, who wants some moonshine?